Let's get to the main event, Dave.
Heel Ties is a good guy. I like that. He's a really good, smart person.
We had Jon Moxley take on Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship. And Jon Moxley picks up the win over Jericho in the main event. This match went... Here, let me get it correct here. 22 minutes long. And Moxley picks up the win. And is now your
with some conviction.
Your new AEW World Champion. And he's been faking it all along, everyone. He has been healed. His eye was healed all along. He takes the patch off tonight and reveals that his eye is fully healed now. He got a nice little gash on his forehead. I guess that was from the pole spot where he threw him into the ring post. I'm not really sure where that actually happened, but he had a nice little gash on his forehead. He was bleeding pretty good throughout the match. We got shenanigans with the Inner Circle trying to help out and help Jericho beat Moxley tonight. But Moxley gets one up and beats Jericho tonight and is now the new AEW World Champion. He had a nice little speech after the show, thanking the fans for sticking with him all this time, thanking AEW for believing in him and giving him this opportunity, and that he's not going to hide behind the championship, that he's going to defend it whenever. I was just waiting for maybe Archer to show up or someone to pop out, but they ended the show like that. He ends up walking out inside into the crowd and walks away. What did you think of this main event, Dave? Moxley is now your new AEW Championship.
I mean, I thought it was funny because it's like, oh, look, the eye patch comes up. He could see all this time. He's been playing possum on. Oh, no shit. We knew we could see all this time. Come on. I'm sorry. That was so stupid. And there was a lot of, like tonight, there was a lot of really bad, corny stuff from the announce team. I mean, they were just bad.
Wow, you didn't like... I didn't think commentary was that bad tonight.
I did. JR, especially during the Orange Cassidy match with JR, I mean, they were just terrible. And then even during Cody and MJF, he's like, oh, well, I bet you Arn called that play.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my
that
God.
was a little bit over the top there, yeah. I hear you on that. Do you think Jericho lost the belt because he's about to go on tour? Funny thing you say that, Steven. Apparently, Sean Ross Sapp was tweeting out that he is scheduled to go on tour, but is not having any dates on Wednesday. So he could make AEW if he really wanted to, because he has no shows on Wednesday. Not sure that's the reason why he lost it. It could be one of the reasons why. But maybe they just felt like it was time for him to drop the title to a new guy and start building on new feuds with Jon Moxley. But what did you think of the match, Dave? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was main event worthy? Did you think it lived up to the hype? What was your thoughts on this match, Dave?
I don't know if it lived up to the hype, but I still thought it was a pretty good match. I was enjoying it because I was like, okay, I want to see what happens here. I thought it was a good match. I mean, could have been better, sure. It wasn't, it wasn't nothing too spectacular. But, I thought it was interesting. I think it was Jericho's first title match, wasn't it, this year?
Of this year, I believe so, yes.
Like defending his title, yeah. I mean, yeah, I thought Jericho was going to win, honestly. I mean, I'm kind of surprised.
Really?
I was kind of surprised he didn't win, actually. But that's actually kind of funny. But, yeah. I mean, I thought it was good. And I was surprised Moxley won because I honestly thought Jericho was going to win. So, because everyone kept running in. Here comes Sammy hitting him with the belt. And
Hager came down. And
yeah, I mean, I thought this is like, I was NWO all over again, come to save Hogan's title. I mean, that's what it felt like at first. But you know what? I said it Saturday, I believe, when we did this. Or maybe it was Wednesday when we did this. That's right. Moxley needed to win the title tonight. Because what was the point of bringing him in if you weren't going to give him the world title right here and now? Because it would be like almost a waste to bring him in if you're not going to give him that title right now. Because he needed it. He needed to be the world champion, because why else is he basically one of your number one free agent that you signed, other than like a Kenny or a Jericho. Moxley was your number one guy to jump ship, I guess you could say, from the other show. So he needed to be proved. Why did we bring you in if you're not going to be our world champion?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay. Ian Dunn makes a good point in the chat room, saying, I don't know what Jericho does now because I don't see him getting another reign as world champion. What do you think is in line for Jericho? You got to assume this is Chris Jericho. Oh, thank you, Bizarre One, for the host.
It's my computer.
It's Chris Jericho, so you're assuming this guy's going to weasel his way into a rematch with Moxley. Probably going to be on a Dynamite show.
I doubt it. It's pay-per-view. You don't do that on Dynamite.
I think you do it on Dynamite. I think you give
it. I think pay-per-view.
I'm going to go. You're going to wait another 3 months to have him.
Jericho doesn't have to come back and say he wants his world title rematch. He could do it and just wait and be gone for a little bit.
Okay, all right. We'll see what happened there. How about Jericho's entrance? It was awesome, but I hate when they cut the music at the wrong time and the crowd can't really sing along, says Chris Mack. Which has been probably one of the best things about Jericho's entrance is the...
Yeah, that was a cool way to do it. Have this like choir singing his song, which is really cool.
Aubrey Edwards ejecting the Inner Circle. Yeah, that was good. Even though I'm not a big Aubrey fan, she did a good job tonight refereeing that match with Jon Moxley and...
Didn't they have to do this tonight, though? Didn't they? Because they didn't have no other titles switch hands tonight.
Yeah, no titles.
You had to have the world title switch hands. You know, you had to, because what was the point? Look, if you're going to order a pay-per-view or do something big like this, you got to do something. Give them a reason like, wow, okay, I'm glad I did this because I got to see a new champion on this. Whether it was a women's champion or new tag champions. But instead, tonight you got a new world champion, and that was the time to do it. Because maybe people pay their hard-earned money to see this pay-per-view, and you got a new world champion.
Facility BJJ says pay-per-view was good. All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Don't forget, if you're new to the show, hit that follow button. We always really appreciate new followers of the channel. Appreciate everyone who has dropped bits tonight. Thank you very, very much. Ian Dunn says Mox is born in AEW. His New Japan work is way better. Okay, there you go.
Is he still the U.S. champ?
Ian Dunn can probably let us know there. I'm not sure, honestly. I think so. I think he is. What's great, too, is AEW is loaded with unpredictability. Not everyone knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, most people have had a feeling Moxley was going to win it, I think. I think a good majority is like, what's the point of having Moxley if he's not going to be the world champ?
What the hell?
Right?
Thank you. Chris Mack, you had to have been following already. You must have unfollowed and followed. What the hell? It says you're following. Thank you for the follow, which hasn't popped up the screen, which is weird.
Wouldn't you say most of the people you've heard from probably said that they thought Mox was winning?
Yeah, I think for the majority thought Moxley was going to win. I think they thought it was his time to win it. Jericho had a great reign as champion. But, yeah, it was time to move on to Mox. And we'll see what happens if we actually see Archer show up. Well, we will see him show up on Wednesday and see what he has in mind for his debut.
Yeah, it was pointless to have him do all the talking if he wasn't going to do anything.
Oh, nothing. Facility says AEW has reignited my interest for pro wrestling. Vince killed it for me back in the early 2000s. Well, that's a huge compliment towards AEW right there. I think you're the second person that's come into this chat room and has said that AEW has brought them back to watching wrestling. So that's pretty high praise for AEW. Yep, Mox is dual brand champion, says Ian Dunn. Does it feel like there aren't any major stories coming out of pay-per-view other than the Elite, says Lord Spears. Right now, probably the biggest story out of AEW Revolution, other than Moxley winning the championship, is probably MJF pulling off the win against Cody and what's going to happen between Omega, Hangman, and the Young Bucks, right? Or do you see something else coming out of there as well?
I mean, I hope people are talking about Darby a little bit too, because I thought his stuff was good, but yeah. Pretty much, and I mean, yeah, because in the Dark Order, I'm sure we'll get some stuff about that too more. But the main headline to the show is Moxley and what's Jericho do next, and Kenny and and beat the Bucks? So are they the best tag team in the world now? So yeah, I mean, the main stuff is your main people. Like, what does Cody go from here? Well, how does he rebound from this? Yeah, there's a bunch of different things.
There's a lot of stories going into Dynamite. You got Lance Archer debuting on Wednesday night. You have Moxley as the world champion. You have Cody probably going to come out on Dynamite. MJF. What's next for those two guys? You got the tag team champions with the Hangman and Omega. Things still aren't peachy 100% between those two guys. Does Orange Cassidy get another shot on Dynamite? Pac, what's next for Pac? Who's next for Jon Moxley? So there's a lot of interesting storylines and things that we can be very intrigued by going into Wednesday night. So it's going to be hopefully a really good show. Facility says, I think Cody and MJF may do the whole Raven and Dreamer feud where Tommy never beat Raven until the end. They already did the Dreamer and Sandman 10 Lashes thing, but they use a belt instead of a cane, says Facility. That's the one way to look at it. And yes, I saw a lot of people compare that to the Raven and Dreamer stuff. New Japan and AEW treating Mox better than WWE ever did. All right, look. We all know Jon Moxley wasn't treated that great in the WWE. We can all agree with everyone on that, right, Dave? But you have to think of this. Moxley was a Grand Slam champion. Not a lot of people can say that. So, yes, he was treated probably personally pretty bad. But the man won every fucking title in WWE. So, he wasn't particularly treated that bad where he won every damn championship. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, there's the stories. Yes, of course. But this man was a Grand Slam champion. So, I don't think he was treated 100% bad, Well, they have 3 months to build to Double or Nothing, unlike 1 week WWE. Touche, my friend. Touche. My question earlier was, after the Cody match, were they friends again? Saw a pic on Twitter of them hugging after the match in the ring, or did MJF turn on Kid, or just... They never hug after the match. So there must have been something else that was posted on Twitter. Yeah,
MJF, Cody left.
Yeah, MJF and Cody just... Yeah,
match.
MJF just left with Wardlow. Not to mention there is a shit ton more talent on WWE roster. He's a big fish in a much smaller pond in AEW. Not a knock on AEW, just saying. It's a good point. That's also a good point. I'm just tired of saying people saying that Moxley was treated like shit, because he really wasn't. I know belts don't, like Ian Dunn, I get you. Belts don't mean shit. But still, he was a grand... How many people have won a Grand Slam championship in the WWE? Probably a handful. Like, he was not... they had some confidence in the man to give him championship runs. He was the first ever SmackDown World Champion as well. So, it's like, I get the point to where he wasn't probably treated very well and creative and wasn't able to get some of what he wanted to do and had to run with some of the silly shit that WWE gave him. I understand that. And he has more freedom in AEW. I understand that. But look, this man won a Grand Slam champion. Like, good damn. Facility in the chat room says, but WWE doesn't know how to use the talent. Yes. That is also true as well.
Unless you're a few small group. Tony, I'm surprised you didn't go off on that big overreact of Aubrey when she threw the inner circle out. I mean, she went round the circle.
Every referee does that. Like, I'm not going to...
Not like that.
Look, Aubrey, to me, it overreacts to everything that goes on in the ring. I'm not going to be here and bash Aubrey every single night. Everybody knows my opinions on Aubrey. People love her. I'm not a big fan of her. I think she tries to sometimes takes away from the match with her selling of moves, every single move. But I thought she did all right tonight. I really didn't pay attention to her tonight, which actually made the matches a lot better. And so, yeah, I didn't really have